Welcome to Austin, Texas and the FloMarching Studios for the Taking the Field pre-show edition. I'm Emily Tanner-Patterson. I'm joined in the studio tonight by Josh Gall. Josh, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
And tell the folks at home a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I'm a band director at the University of Texas at Austin. I'm also co-owner and co-founder of Ultimate Drill Book.
We had your co-founder in the studio just a couple weeks ago. He's your brother, right?
That's right. Yeah, my youngest brother, but and business partner, and he had a great time when he was here.
Well, hopefully you can say the same at the end of. Awesome. Well, let's take a look at what's going on. It's been a really exciting week in drum corps already, and lots of drum corps still to go this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Last night with the Southeastern Championship, I think we saw, sort of what's to come in these final weeks, and tonight should be no exception.
Awesome. Well, we've had an exciting thing happen already so far this season. We have 4 corps already joining something we call the 90s Club, not a boy band called NSYNC or New Kids on the Block rather, but Carolina Crown, Blue Coats, Blue Devils, and topping the charts right now, Santa Clara Vanguard, 93.675, BD at 93.25, Blue Coats 92.775, and Carolina Crown, the newest entrant to the 90s Club, 91.525. We may see a couple more tonight. What do you think? I
think so. I think Cavaliers and Boston Crusaders are both sort of knocking on that respective door, and it could certainly happen tonight, so we'll see what happens.
Well, Josh, you have a lot of experience with this. Talk to me.
Well, it's a number of different things that sort of combine to make that happen, but generally when we're looking at each of the captions, in visual and music, point mark. In GE, where the total is out of 46, 36 is the sort of the threshold for all of those corps to get to that 90 point, and I think we're starting to see quite a bit more of that happen tonight.
Yeah, so it'll be lots of fun to see what happens. Well, again, topping the charts right now, SCV, they have been for quite a while now. Yeah,
I think that they have sort of firmly cemented themselves, certainly in the top 3, and and they may be able to ride this wave out all the way to the end, and we'll see. It's exciting for them.
And speaking of exciting, we have a really neat video encapsulating their show. Let's take a look at that.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Santa Clara, California, Santa Clara Vanguard.
It's just such a fun show.
Yeah, and I think that from an energy standpoint, from a construction standpoint, I mean they're really sort of firing on all cylinders.
It's that feature tumbler really caught my eye last night. What a neat asset to discover that you have as a staff.
Yeah, and I think that the interview that I think Dan Potter did with them after the show, and they found out all of these other skills that this performer had, it was exciting to see that, and certainly the design team used that to their advantage, and it's cool to see that in the show.
Well, let's take a look at our DCI Top 15 rankings. Santa Clara Vanguard, again, still atop the leaderboard, followed briefly by Blue Devils, who crept up on them a bit last night, and Blue Coats. A couple neighborhoods for us to be watching. We would be remiss if we did not mention these corps are not on the field tonight, but Crossman and Spirit of Atlanta. We were talking yesterday like Crossman was a lock on 12th, and that gulf was widening, but Spirit proved us wrong last night, perhaps aided by the hometown crowd, closed that down to a .6 gap.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing here is the kind of fight and battle that we want to see going into finals week. And Spirit and Crossman are both making that exciting. I think Spirit is very, very strong this year. I think it's a fresh musical and visual take for them, and so I think we're seeing that come to life here.
And then, of course, again, flipping and flopping all over the place, Boston Crusaders in 6th on this chart. Of course, the rankings are the average of the last 3 scores, but last night Crusaders was in 5th, Cavaliers was in 6th, only half a point between those guys, so we're starting to see that these tenths can go in either direction any night, and it can be anybody's game.
Absolutely, and I think tonight is not going to be any exception to that rule. And I think Boston sort of pulling out all the stops with the new ending, and we'll see if Cavaliers maybe have something similar in store.
More tricks up their sleeves. Well, fans at home are now seeing the scores from last night on a ticker at the bottom of your screen, so you can, if you missed last night's show, you can stay current on all the latest scores from DCI. So out of those rankings, the pair that we need to talk about and Mandarins. We've been talking about Mandarins all season long, and we had thought that maybe last night was going to be the night that they were going to take over Phantom. They are ahead in the rankings, but last night they still were behind Phantom Regiment. It's looking there at the recap from last night. Mandarins took visual and GE, but Phantom took music by such a margin they were able to just barely eke it out. What is the primary difference between those two corps, that is keeping them sort of neck and neck?
Well, I think that the Mandarins constructed a show to be remembered. And as soon as they come off the field, people are talking about their prop or their uniforms or sort of the aggressiveness in their program. And they certainly came to play this year, and we're seeing that here. It looks like they're firmly in finals. We could never, really see how that pans out until we get to finals week. But I think Mandarins has really proved themselves here.
And Phantom, I think we saw with that music score, they've been in rehearsal almost the entire week. They've only performed 2 times this week prior to tonight, and so should we expect to see some evolution of their show?
I would like to think so. I mean, between last night and tonight, it would be difficult to say that just because there's not a lot of time between the show between Atlanta and then here at NightBEAT. But because they've rehearsed so much recently, that gives an opportunity for any drum corps to to put in whatever they've been working on at any point. So we could see something brand new from Phantom Regiment at any time.
And we were talking a little bit before the show. Mandarins constructed a show to be remembered, and yet we see in the scores that that's where they're scoring strong, right, in GE. But Phantom is still edging them out in some of the performance captions.
Yeah, and I think with Phantom winning music at the margin that they did, I think that's got to be where the Mandarins make some gains if they want to stay atop Phantom. So we'll see what happens.
Well, and so we talked yesterday about the Mandarins and a certain choice that they made this year, and you're a brass player, so what's your take on the trombone situation?
I think that when trombones were first allowed in the activity, I think that the people who embraced it are being remembered, and I think likely for the right reasons. And so I think that with the construction of what they've done in the show, I think that it fits with some of the musical thematic things that they're doing, which is exciting. So I think that they're doing it the right way, and I applaud them for it.
So do you think trombones have slid into their place as a respected instrument in the activity?
They have done that.
All right, sorry for the wordplay. We can't escape the puns here in the FloMarching studio.
Yeah. Shout out to Daniel Montoya last night, who I think took all of the puns from the whole playbook.
Pun Master Montoya is what we call him at Trivia Night. All right. Well, speaking of corps and their schedules, Cavaliers looking ahead, they have made a certain decision to do a lot of performing as we head towards finals week. 12 shows in the final 18 days of the season. Can you believe we only have 18 days left in the season? Yeah,
it's crazy. I think when you get to San Antonio and then Atlanta, I mean, the end is in sight, and so I think it's sort of all feet on the gas pedal. I mean, everybody's flying to finals, and they're going to have a really busy schedule ahead of them. And but I think that because of who they are, they're going to do a great job sort of coming into finals week.
So you have some experience with this, and I've been on staffs and I've marched as well. this point in the season is a tough one because you're hurtling towards finals. That's supposed to be the ultimate experience. You want to put everything you have into finishing the season strong, but you've been doing this for a long time. And enthusiasm may be wearing thin in certain quarters, or it's easy for members to get lackadaisical about the day-to-day and the importance of improving day-to-day. How do you manage the end of the season as a staff member?
Well, that really starts, honestly, when you meet together for the first time in the winter and when you establish a leadership and you say, here's what we need to have happen in place regardless of where we are in the season. And certainly they have a strong history of doing that, but I think it's about setting up the mental preparedness and just saying that every time that we rehearse, we're performing, and it matters every time. Every time we do a rep, we're making something better. And so, they're going to be a great example of that in these final days, because it's going to be a very, very busy time for them.
Well, certainly Cavaliers is an organization that has a lot of experience performing at a very high level.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'll be curious for myself to see whether Cavaliers has any further tricks up their sleeve in that program, because we haven't seen anything new from them in a couple of weeks.
We'll find out. I mean, they have a design team full of experienced folks, and I wouldn't be surprised if they have a thing or two sort of ready for the crowds. We'll just see when it shows up.
Well, and it's going to be interesting going from now until finals, because San Antonio and then last night in Atlanta were the only times that all of the world-class corps are going to meet. Next week we're in Allentown in J. Vernon Crumb Historic Stadium, and that is a 2-night event. So while we try to make those scores comparable, they're not.
Right. Yeah, I think it's up to the judging community to do their best job. It's certainly a significant challenge, and I think that the drum corps, when they do it right, they make it more challenging for the judges.
As well they should.
Absolutely. So it's an exciting time, and at any night things could flip flop. Allentown is one of the big last shows where we sort of see people meeting head to head, and so I think we're in store for something exciting.
Well, we'll find out at that Thursday night event in Indy.
That's right.
Yep. So we've been doing a fun thing here on FloMarching. We've been letting you crown your fan favorite from night to night. Last night, for the second time in a row, it was Music City from Nashville, Tennessee. 33,848 people voted, and Music City garnered 27.6% of that vote. They cannot be the fan favorite tonight because they're not at this show. So go to FloMarching.com, vote for your fan favorite. Josh, who do you think is going to be the fan favorite?
It's hard to say because we've got such a lineup tonight. I do think that Crown being the home team, if you will, I think that there's likely a number of votes coming their way, but we'll see. I'm not sure I'm willing to commit anywhere across the board yet.
So you just don't know. Is that what you're going with?
That's a good way to put it.
All right. Well, in that case, I'll hold out as well.
Okay, deal.
All right. Let's take a look at what we have in store for you tonight. And we're going to start off, we'll show the schedule in just a second, but we are going to start off with an exhibition performance from the U.S. Marine Band Drum and Bugle Corps before the show. And then, of course, we start all DCI shows with our national anthem. They'll be followed by Phantom Regiment, the Cadets, Cavaliers, Boston Crusaders. We'll be back with you here for more Taking the Field at intermission. Second half, we have Santa Clara Vanguard, Bluecoats, Blue Devils, and then closing out the show will be our show host, the Carolina Crown. Hometown team, this is always a massive crowd. I remember it from being on tour. It's a Sunday night and it's hot and humid, and a lot of times it rains and there's a lot of mosquitoes, and for some reason just so many people come out to the show every single year. It's a great crowd to perform for.
Yeah, it's really exceptional, and I think that coming off of the energy of last night in Atlanta, these corps are really sort of firing on all cylinders, and it's exciting. And in that area of the country, people are huge drum corps fans, and with Crown being the home team, if you will, there's no question that there's going to be a fantastic energy about the crowd tonight.
And what's always fun about these Tour Champion shows is because it's a smaller show, and because they're all the elite groups, sometimes we find that the judges' pockets are just a little bit looser.
I think that's one of the exciting things, especially as some of the orders get switched around. And I think with Crown going last tonight, I think with a show stacked with rock stars, if you will. I mean, I think that we're really we're in for a treat tonight. So we'll see what happens.
Well, it's going to be a really exciting night of drum corps out in Carolina. We're going to take you to the field with a little clip from tonight's show host. This is the Carolina Crown Battery in the lot. Enjoy, and we'll see you at intermission.